Employees can be a company's greatest resource. So today we're going to talk about recruiting and interview skills that'll help you take the mystery out of your next hire. The objectives of today are to define the skills, knowledge, and behaviors that you're going to need for the position. We're going to learn how to accurately assess the individual's skills and the candidates that are coming into your office as they interview, and the experience through our interview questioning techniques. We're also going to talk about how to avoid the legal pitfalls and asking appropriate questions during an interview. And then we're also going to finally learn how to make sure to ensure that they accept our offer. Make sure that we have all the facts going into that offer so that we are confident that the candidate will accept once we've decided they're the right person. To get us started, think back to one of your recruiting experiences. Perhaps maybe it's the job that you have currently, or maybe it's a job from previous times. What are your memories of the job? I can remember the interview that I had where the person had a really limp handshake. It doesn't leave the greatest impression. What are your impressions of your recruiting experiences that you've had over your years? Are they good? Are they bad? What was good or bad about it? And then think about what the individual said as you interviewed with them. Do you feel like you got a good picture of the position you were interviewing for? Or do you feel like perhaps it wasn't a good interview process and then you got into the position and found that it wasn't so great? Today we're going to learn about how to make a good interview, how we can leave that candidate with a good feeling so that they walk away and they're excited about the position that they are going into. At this point in the interview process, recruiting process, you've assessed the skills that you're looking for. You know what type of candidate you want to fill the position. Now it's time for the interview. The interview is how you're going to actually assess the candidate that's come through the door for you. In order to have an effective interview, you need good questioning techniques. There are a few other do's and don'ts to interviewing I wanted to discuss today. The first is not to just spend the interview time qualifying a resume. You only have a finite period of time with a candidate, so you really want to make effective use of that time and not spend the time just going through the resume. So in order to do so, you need to be prepared in advance. Make sure you've done a good review of the resume before the candidate comes through your door. You also don't want to give more than you receive. This is your time to get information from the candidate, so you shouldn't be doing all the talking. You do want to control the interview so that you can get that information that you need to know. Don't let the interviewee control you. Remember that you're in charge, so you need to ask the questions and guide them through the questions so that you can get the information that you need so that you can accurately assess their skills for the job. You also want to get them to give you specific examples about their work experience and what they've done in the past. And a little bit later in the presentation, we're going to talk about exactly how you can do that. The interview structure is essentially the same for both a 30-minute interview and a 60-minute interview, or really anything in between or longer than those. All interviews are going to start with an opening. That opening will be shorter for a 30-minute interview and a little bit longer for that longer 60-minute interview. You'll then move into the gathering information stage. Then you're going to give a chance where you're going to allow the interviewee to ask you questions and you'll provide them information. And lastly, you'll close. The opening is a really important part of the interview because that's when you're going to really set the tone for the interview. You want to put the candidate at ease. A relaxed interviewee is going to be a better interview for both you and them. So as you walk back to your office, perhaps make a little small talk. Did you find the office okay today? Isn't the weather beautiful? Something just to lighten up the mood and get them talking and have them feel a little bit more comfortable with you. You then want to start in with giving them a very brief introduction to the job. You're going to spend more time later providing information to them about the job and allowing them to ask questions. So really, this is a brief introduction. You should also explain the interview process to them, what they can expect throughout the day as well as throughout the interview process as a whole. You'll reiterate all this in the close, but it's a good time just to let them feel comfortable, they know what to expect. especially if they're going to be interviewing with a number of people throughout the day. It's great to let them know that after you meet with me, you'll be meeting with Bob, and then we'll go to lunch, or whatever may be the plan for the day. Don't spend too much time on your opening. You want to make sure you keep it succinct so that you don't waste time that you're going to need for assessing their skills.